Well, I guess we're live and rolling.
We are.
So, guys, I apologize. We're about 8 minutes late tonight, but it is Thursday night. It's 7 o'clock ish. As Stephanie's fond of saying, we do things around here on the ish.
We do.
So that means it is time for Thursday Night Live at the Gun Shop. Should be some folk, hopefully some people logging in here in the next few minutes and popping on.
I'm moving this back a little bit. Sorry.
We have a cool show in store for you tonight. You know, what we've been trying to do is address questions that we get quite often. And tonight, we're going to delve into the fascination and all the questions that's being asked around the 338 calibers, those in the 338 family.
Eric Ferguson said, "Hey y'all."
So-
Jacob, go ahead.
What's up, Eric?
Jacob said, "What's going on?"
Jacob?
And Kevin and Kim Warren, good
Hey.
evening, guys.
Great to have y'all back. We appreciate it. So like I said, tonight we're going to talk, our main segment tonight's going to be concerning the newer 338 cartridges that's come out. And we're going to look at the fact that really, there's nothing new. We'll talk about, I don't want to say forgotten, but maybe. But one of those cartridges that people just didn't realize it was ahead of its time. And it's, frankly, it's been the impulse for a lot of the work on the little short 338 cartridges. And we're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about Hornady's new 338 ARC. And we're going to look at how they compare to the 8.6 Blackout.
What's your favorite cartridge, right?
Again, why? The only thing that comes to mind when I think of that cartridge is why. The only thing it's ever had going for it is a marketing department.
Sometimes that's all you need, really good marketing department.
And we're going to talk about that. We're going to find out why that's not really opinion, but that can be that's backed up really by hard cold facts. And it's kind of funny, the war going on between Hornady and Q right now. It's like, well, Q's struggling to pay their bills. Hornady's sitting in a really nice position. So yeah, that's an interesting little thing to watch. I don't think Hornady is living rent free in what's his name's head. So anyway, let's talk about a couple of things right quick in random thoughts. We've tried to steer the show away from as much political discussion. It's still necessary that we have some. And had a really interesting thing happen today. Just a few days ago, U.S. attorney, he was out of Louisiana, had filed paperwork, and I didn't put a lot of notes on this because I really didn't plan on talking about it, but had filed paperwork saying that suppressors were not a firearm and were not a gun and not protected by the Second Amendment, and that the case he was filing his paperwork in, the court should go ahead and render decisions based on that opinion. And Today, the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, came out and said, no, let's just hold up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we take 30 days and the Department of Justice is going to reassess its opinion in this case and get back with the court. It's pretty, I'm hitting high points, okay, because I didn't write my notes and I didn't really plan on spending any time on this, but it's just too important not to see that reversal. So we've had that reversal, or potential reversal. And then we saw something yesterday, I think it was, that really has people screaming on the left side. And the right's talking about, our side's talking about it. I think that, and what it is, if you as an American citizen, whatever reason, lost your rights, you can appeal and you can make appeal to get your right to vote back. You can make appeal to have rights reinstated, and the same's true with your gun rights. However, 30 odd years ago, ATF, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General, who is the person that is enumerated by law to have the power, if you will, of making those decisions, enumerated that power, gave that power to ATF. And then Charles Schumer, tell you how long he's been up there.
A long time.
They led a rider, penned a rider to a bill that prevented taxpayer funds being used for that purpose. So ATF couldn't spend any money to investigate it or do whatever, and ATF's cool with that. I mean, they're like, okay, yeah, somebody else can. Well, basically what Pam Bondi said, and these documents are out there, and this actually went today. This went in the Federal Registry today. So this is something that's happening. Said, hey, guess what? DOJ, the Attorney General, is taking that power back. They're saying they stripped ATF of power. I don't know. It wasn't ATF's to begin with. It had been delegated to them. That did not work out.
Mm-hmm.
So the Attorney General says, we're taking that back and putting it over here where it's supposed to be by law already anyhow. And then she has written a thing asking Congress and to look into some things. And you can, the closest place I can tell you to find this, if you really want to read everything for yourself, and I recommend that you do, would be Langley Outdoors. I know Brandon is trying to make a living with this and everything. If you can stand that half the broadcast is commercials, and I get it,
You gotta pay for it somehow.
He's got some really interesting takes, and whatever you want to say, the guy don't go off half-cocked, and when he comes out with facts, and he comes out with a way to back those facts.
Yep.
So
he does.
And these are two things, I've sat here on this broadcast and talked about Pam Bondi, and I've said before, I'm not against her. but I was worried about her. These are two things we should applaud. Okay? Criticize when it's there, if it deserves criticism, and give praise when praise is deserved. And I think right now, at least on these two things, we see positive movement. We're not going to repeal NFA or any of that overnight. It's going to take steps. But at least we're seeing some kind of movement. So I think, I think she may even have an X account.
She does. I started following.
That, I would say people should maybe go on there and just drop a two-way word of encouragement for what she's doing. Let her, I promise you, one side's hollering and screaming, okay? They already got politicians from New Jersey standing on stages screaming and yelling. And nothing's changed in the law. It's just the Department of Justice took what was theirs and brought it back into the Department of Justice. The law, what the law allows for, what the law says should be there, hasn't changed.
Right.
They're just putting it where it maybe can be, the law can do what it's intended to do. But anyway, if you get by her account on X or whatever, drop a word of encouragement. And, a thumbs up, 2A, whatever. Drop something. It's only right.
Hey, what coffee are you drinking tonight?
FAFO.
Okay. Just wondered.
It's FAFO.
Okay.
It's fool around and find out. So, with that said, we're going to kind of get off that. I'll give you an update. Will you give me, there's a rifle back on this side, the one in that Herta chassis. Okay, guys? For those of you that were with us last week, you saw us, go ahead and install the barrel on here. We had space to action. Installed the trigger. I had to get a hold of some stock screws. So we got the stock screws. We mounted it in the chassis, which is literally 2 screws here and here. And now it's waiting to go to Cerakote. And I think we're going to do a olive and black battle-worn Cerakote
really
with it.
That'll look good.
And
John Miller says hi.
Hey, John. Then we will we'll do some we'll do a little engraving and everything on it, and we'll keep you guys in the loop on that as that comes together, and then hopefully we can all go to the range together and see how it shoots. So there's the update on that rifle. I'll keep you guys updated on how that's going and what's going on with it. So let's move into tonight's topic. Last several years, we have been seeing, moves toward more efficient cartridge, more efficient case design. That type thing. And, right now the big thing is getting, of course, with the being easier to get suppressors, of course, subsonic shooting's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And trying to find, a lot of folks trying to find that place where they can get a cartridge that'll perform on both sides of the line. Um, and it's already been done.
Uh-huh.
It's already been done. One of the greatest cartridge designers to ever draw breath on the face of this earth, a gentleman named J.D. Jones, had a little company called SSK Industries.
Mm-hmm.
And years ago, he designed this little fella,
There you go.
the 338 Whisper.
It's awful cute.
Notice the compact design,
Mm-hmm.
big bullet, small case. These were based off of 7mm BR cases. So it was an already existing case that came from an even earlier time when we had small cases with medium-sized bullets, 6BR, 7BR, multiple Wildcats made off of those. So the 338 Whisper. Can everybody see that?
Everybody can see that.
Great. This particular one is a 250 grain Sierra boat tail match. We actually used action pistol for it. I think the original powder for it was 5744, which isn't the easiest to get anymore. And it's pushing that 250 grain bullet, 1,050 feet a second. Because when we're shooting subsonic, we're shooting with a velocity ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We can't exceed a certain velocity or we're no longer subsonic, right?
Right.
So you can also do the same thing with just a hair bit more action pistol behind a 300 grain. I myself have not done this, but I do know of a couple of individuals that have used this cartridge. Now, these guys are shooters, okay? They don't think they're shooters. They're not these guys are shooters and have taken deer out past 400 yards. With this, I don't really recommend doing that, but like I said, these guys were literally professionals at it. They were removing deer from airports, keeping them off the runways and doing control within airports.
Very interesting.
So they're shooting suppressed, they're shooting heavy. Okay, spent lots of time out getting guns ready, getting loads ready. Professionals. So we look back and we go back over 30 years, well over 30 years, maybe closer to 40.
It was a long time ago.
And we had 338s being put in nice short cases.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually performs really, really well on both sides of the spectrum. Okay, push 250, 300 grain bullets, 1050, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's our velocity ceiling, generating 600 pounds or so energy with the 250 and about 735 to 750 pounds with the 300. Now, if you want to go supersonic, even I don't know if Barnes still makes this bullet or not. Barnes, at one time, they may still make it, made a 165 grain 338 bullet. And you can get that bullet up to smoking. You can get it up, 26, maybe a bit over, depending on barrel, depending on a lot of things. But you get that bullet 25, 26. And with a bullet of that diameter, with the weight, it's not shedding it real fast. It's holding its velocity, its momentum. It's going to hammer. There's 180 grain bullets out there. Generally, you can run about 2350 to 2450. Running a 180, and you get 22 to 2300 out of a 200 grain bullet. In this case, so when we talk, like the 338 ARC that's coming out, it's going to be roughly the same size. If we look back just a few years ago, one of the big things that come out and people were hollering about was the 338 Spectre, which again, and unlike many other folks, at least the people that were doing the Spectre paid homage to JD rather than some of these people that like to deny. Everything from the 338 Spectre was kind of derived from this. It played a very large role in the development of that cartridge. And now, with what Hornady's doing with the 338 ARC, and don't get me wrong, guys, I think I'm going to be a 338 ARC fan. The 338 ARC is basically nothing but the 338 Spectre.
So they just changed the name.
I mean, when you look at the measurements and you start looking at diagrams, start looking at internal capacity, you start looking at everything. Looks an awful lot like 338 Spectre to me. And the 338 Spectre came from the 338 Whisper. So, makes up, and here's a cool thing, okay? Going back to what JD did, okay? These shot with a twist rate of 1 in 7, 1 in 8. Okay? 338 Spectre, 1 in 7, 1 in 8. Okay? Get 338 ARC, it's 1 in 8. Are we seeing any?
Sounds the same to me.
Yeah, so you got the same rate of twist. And it does a good job stabilizing bullets. You don't have any problems with bullet stabilization, and you don't have really any problems with bullet selection. Okay?
All right.
If you're wanting to use a cup core bullet, some people say, what's that? It's traditional, like soft point, where you've got a lead core with a copper jacket around it. Okay. If you want to use a traditional cup core bullet in there, great, go for it. It's going to work wonderfully. No problem at all. But now we're going to talk about, and the other thing. Well, I don't really know how well that would feed with that little bit of rim there. If you were trying to put it in an AR, I think that's what a couple of these other cartridges have done, is look at something where they could make this more or less rimless and make it feed in an AR-15 platform. Okay. Let's face it, JD was building Encores and Contenders. Or, hell, there wasn't no Encore back then. He's building Contenders. Nobody ever heard of an Encore. Thompson had never even heard of an Encore. So you were shooting them in single-shot pistols. Or a custom-built SSK gun. And I bet JD had a way to make them feed anyway. He's just that kind of genius. But you keep everything at this 1 in 8 twist. Whatever bullet you want to use, great, go ahead and use it. Not going to run into issues. Now, when we get to the 8.6 Blackout, we run into a few different things. One, if we're talking about subsonic, everything here is pushing bullets of the same weight. Okay, we're shooting subsonic. All the cartridges we talked about, including 8.6 Blackout, are pushing bullets of the same weight. Every one of them can push the bullet to 1050.
Okay.
Okay. So why? This is 375 Raptor. Do I want to use something that's a case, a little bit shorter case, but not quite too much? Why do I want to have something that much bigger that I have to put in an AR-10 to do what that will do? I can use an AR-15, a less expensive platform.
Mm-hmm.
You say change the bolt. Okay. You're going to change the bolt if you're shooting 6 arc. You're going to have the same bolt if you're shooting 22 arc. You're going to have the same bolt if you're shooting 5.762 by 3.9. You're going to have that same bolt if you're shooting 3.38 arc. So, okay, no, it's not a 5.56 bolt, but that's not that big a deal. We change bolts all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the lesser expensive gun that's less finicky, easier to make run, smaller cartridge, doing the exact same thing. Why do you want to carry around a freaking AR-10 as heavy and ungangly as they are to shoot 1050 when we could do it in a cartridge nearly half the size in a gun that weighs half as much and still not have recoil problems? If we're going to carry around AR-10, let's get it in a cartridge worth carrying. Let's get a 375 Raptor. Let's get a 500 Auto Max. Hell, let's get a 308. I mean,
You do love your 308.
let's let's have a cartridge worth toting in it. And here's another, and you say, okay, on the supersonic side. Okay, let's talk about the supersonic side. About the best you're going to get out of that 8.6 Blackout, say with a 200 grain bullet, is what? 23, 24, maybe? 100 foot per second? Now, I may be a little bit off on that, but I'm not far off. So, trade-off here. Let's see. I pick up 100 foot per second. I got to carry a gun that costs twice as much as the AR-15. It's twice as heavy as the AR-15. It's harder to make run than the AR-15. I got no major ammunition manufacturer out there anywhere that plans to support this 8.6 Blackout cartridge. There's a couple of minor companies, but none of the big guys. Nobody's going to add it. Got 338 ARC. Oh, Hornady's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Take all these guys over here that are going to offer 8.6, and you put all their production capacity together, and they run day and night for a year and run. They still can't do what Hornady does in a day. So, single source. And then you get this other thing where it's a 1 in 3. Everybody says, oh man, rotational energy and everything else. Okay, there's a little something to that. It's not as big a deal as people make it. But I'll tell you what it does do. It limits the bullets you can shoot. When you're running this 1 in 3, you're going to be shooting solid copper bullets. Okay? Because there's a very strong, very, 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 very strong chance that if you're shooting a cup and core bullet, it rips the jacket off it.
Mm.
Now, there's going to be people, man, I've been doing that. Great. But you're taking your chances, especially if you cross into supersonic. You know, if you cross into supersonic and you try to push that get that extra speed through that 1 in 3 twist barrel with a cupping core bullet, I highly recommend you check the bore before you shoot the next round. Or shoot monolithic bullets. You know, shoot solid copper bullets to be safe, which also means added expense in the ammo because those bullets are more expensive. Any way we cut it. So I guess what I'm saying to a lot of people, if you're thinking about doing something in this 338 market, in my opinion, and you know, guys, I've said this 100 times before, I have opinions, and opinions are like armpits. Everybody's got at least one, and they stink. If I was really, really looking into this, and thinking about getting a 338 that would shoot subsonic and everything else, shoot subsonic, supersonic, whatever. I think at 338 arc is where my attention would be. There's something about there. We're kind of sticking with something we know works.
Right.
We've had the 338 Whisper for well over 30, probably closer to 40 years. We're just reinventing the wheel in a way with the 338 ARC. We're making sure it feeds through an AR platform easily and that type thing.
Right.
Be great in a bolt gun. And I kind of suspect it's going to run real well off short barrels.
Short barrels are fine. Short barrels are fine.
So, you know, you can put, this is going to be a little cartridge I think you can put in a nice, short, lightweight little gun. Throw a suppressor on it. You're not going to have any real recoil to speak of.
Sounds like fun.
Probably going to quieten down good. And probably first thing I'm going to do as soon as I can get some brass is see if I can expand it out and put a 375 bullet in it.
Of course.
I can't help it.
That's what you do.
But, you know, if you want to carry a big gun in 338, get a little Pua.
That is big.
Make it mean something.
That looks a little scary.
You've been with me when I was shooting them.
I have.
If you want to run a great cartridge and carry an AR-10 platform, there's many. 308. If you want something different, if you want something that just hammers hard, runs great super or sub, 375 Raptor.
And I'll shoot that as long as there's an AB suppressor on it.
I think, you know, that cartridge, you know, on the subsonic side, you're running a 400 grain bullet, 1050, producing around 1,000 foot-pounds of energy, and it's just not shedding it. It's still maintaining 700 of that, 700 foot-pounds of that at 500 yards. That's impressive. Not that I'm telling you to go shoot that at 500 yards. I'm not. Unless you're shooting it steel or paper. Just really, really impressive. And oh, guess what? It does it with a 1 in 8 twist. Imagine that. Wonder why.
I wonder.
Yeah, does it with a 1 in 8 twist. If you really want to get, just you don't get real crazy about it, you can do it with a 1 in 6.5. Yeah, that won't rip bullets apart. But for the most part, I think all my personal guns are 1 in 8. And it stabilizes that big 400 grain bullet really nicely. So, kind of an overview, maybe a really quick overview. Maybe something spark interest, maybe spark some conversation on the some of the upcoming stuff. I can't wait to get the first of these 338 ARCs in and get doing some testing with them.
Do we have any idea when that may be?
Very soon.
Okay.
Very soon. And looking at doing something the special with the 338 ARC. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it seems like the gun world today, hopefully, seems this way, is moving more toward efficiency and getting as much as you can out of a little. And a lot of us have studied on that for a long time. I was there for the big belted Magnum craze and the Lazzaronis, which I think they were on non-belted, and playing with different stuff in big cases and 100 grains of powder and that kind of thing. But I was also there loading 221 Fireballs and 6 BRs and 7 BRs and some of these cartridges that were really a study of efficiency. The TCU family, Thompson Center Yulgad, had the 6, the 6.5, the 7. They were all based on a 223 case. And by the way, for those that's wondering, yes, there is a 338 Whisper 2. And that was pretty much strictly a subsonic thing based on a 221 Fireball case. That's really, really blown out. Basically to a straight wall and ran about a 300 grain bullet at 1050. And yeah, that's about as much as you're getting out of that. But that was the 338 Whisper number 2. I'm not 100% sure you couldn't replicate that with the 5.56 case. Have to cut it off. Be interesting. No. Anyway, how many folks we got? So anyway, guys, I guess tonight's show's maybe been a little boring.
I don't think it's been a lot of coming and
It's
going.
not the same as having Jacob and his guitar here. That makes it much better. I totally agree. And hopefully, well, it won't be next week because Gary's going to be away. But hopefully in 2 weeks, we'll have the gun Cerakote, we'll have the rifle Cerakoted and all that fun stuff.
Hopefully.
And be getting it ready to go to the range. So that'll be something to look forward to. Next week's show, I honestly have no idea.
You'll figure it out.
We're going to come
sometime
up with
between-
something. I really thought tonight's show would be better than what I think it's come off as, but we can say we tried.
We did. And tonight was very informative. And I guarantee we'll have a lot of our viewers watching it tomorrow morning.
I just hope people enjoy. I don't want to bore you guys. So anyway, we will. Next week, will be what, the last week of March?
Mm-hmm.
So next week we'll find something kind of springish.
Well, today is the first day of spring.
Today is the first day of spring.
Mm-hmm. So it is. Spring has sprung.
You know, next week we may dedicate to turkey hunting since it'll be the week before season opens.
That would be good.
And we'll talk about maybe talk about what makes a great turkey gun, and we'll try to dispel some myths,
There's
reinforce
myths
some
about turkey guns?
facts. Hell, who knows? We may even tell a couple of turkey hunting stories.
I don't have any.
Oh, I might have one or two.
One or two.
But we'll look at some different things on, how to optimize your turkey gun, and so we'll dedicate next week's show to talking turkey. That was bad.
With Tom.
That was bad.
We're going to talk turkey with Tom.
That's bad. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate everybody, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. Mm-hmm. And watch the YouTube channel, because we'll probably have some, we're trying to make some video to throw up over there. I think Stephanie's going ahead and sharing it on Facebook as well.
I am.
But we get much better video quality on YouTube. Yes.
Kevin Kim Warren, I love guns but don't know a lot about them, but love to learn, though. Thank you for the information.
Look, if there's anything I love more, if there's anything that I really enjoy, it's helping people learn. It's helping people learn. Because, as you know, back in November, I like not to have been here no more. Mm-hmm. And, being able to teach people and pass on, so that knowledge stays around and hopefully gets people grow on it, is important. But anyway, guys, thank you so very much. I appreciate everybody. Look forward to seeing y'all next week. And as always, God bless you. God bless America.